Hi, this is Ajmal the developer and welcome back to HTML tutorial number 11 on HTML layout. So layout is basically the way you design your web page. So you have your header, you have your column on the left, column on the right, you have your section in the middle, and you have your footer, just like a newspaper. You have different sections, different column that basically makes your article stand out and look good. So we're gonna look into that. It's gonna be a lot of coding, so bear with me. And there's also some CSS coding needs to be done because without CSS your page would look plain and wouldn't look very good on the user's eyes. So we have to use CSS, but for the purpose of this tutorial, you do not have to pay too much attention or worry about CSS. And like I said, we need to use it, so we're gonna have to do some CSS coding too. And without further delay, let's go ahead and open the same document here. As you can see, I have already coded the CSS here, but it's commented out. I just want to show you that the way it looks without the CSS code, and then the change after we apply the CSS code. So let's go ahead and code. But before we do our HTML coding, I want to bring your attention to a few important points. So HTML has a few semantic elements that define the different parts of a web page. Excuse me. So these elements, first one is header, the word header. It defines the header for the document. Nav defines a container for the navigation links. Section defines the section in the document. Article defines an independent self-contained article. And lastly, footer is the footer at the bottom of your document. That section that usually is for author or for date or for copyright information. And aside from these semantic elements, we have techniques of layout. There are 4 different techniques: CSS framework, CSS float property, CSS flexbox, and CSS grid. So the layouts of an HTML is designed by CSS. And in this technique, we're going to use CSS flexbox. So that's that. And aside from that, I want to describe these metadata that we have. Metadata basically means a data inside data. So HTML language English, the simplest way to define it is to search it online to make sure we don't make any mistake. I don't want to give you the wrong information, so it's best to refer to the internet. So to set the primary language for a document, use the language attribute on the HTML element. So that basically sets the primary language for a document. Simple as that. That's all you need to remember. Primary language for a document. So in this case, it's English. And next metadata is charset UTF-8. Let's search this again. Or likewise. So let's see. So simply put, when you declare the charset as UTF-8, you're telling your browser to use the UTF-8 character encoding. So it's a type of encoding, which is a method of converting your typed characters into machine-readable code. So basically, they're translating your characters into machine-readable code. That's nice. Converting your typed characters into machine learning code. So basically it interacts with the machine code, which is is a very low-level language. Okay, so moving on, next metadata is viewport. Very important, viewport. So let's define that. So let's search it. What is it? Okay, so this gives the browser, let's highlight it. So this gives the browser instructions on how to control the page's dimensions and scaling, which will vary depending on the device. So for example, if you're seeing the same page on desktop, it would look as such. But if you were to load this on your cell phone, it would probably look narrower, and the articles and everything would probably stack on top of each other, and it would look different. So that's why we have this metadata to basically translate it to according to your device. So that's that. Let's move on to the actual coding and start coding. Fun stuff. So we're gonna start with the header. So we're gonna have h2. Let's call this layout. Simple as that. Layout, and let's add a paragraph and write a few sentences. In this, we're gonna explain what we're doing basically. In this example, we have created a header, 2 columns, boxes, and a footer. On smaller screens, the columns will stack up on each other, and close the paragraph. Let's have another paragraph. Resize the browser window to see the responsive effect. Between brackets, you will learn more about this in our next tutorial. HTML responsive. So that would be our next tutorial. And we're gonna close this paragraph. Close the paragraph, and we're gonna have the heading for that article. So let's for the header. So the header element, and we're gonna have the h2 to make it look bigger. Or we're gonna call this stays. So that's that. So that's all for header, and moving on to the sections. We're going to have it as a navigation bar to the left. And if you can remember from the previous tutorials, we were learning about an orderly list. So we're going to demonstrate that here. An orderly list. And obviously you need to have list items in between. And we're going to take advantage of a tag. ahref equals quote, hashtag quote, and close. And let's have Toronto as the first city. And close the a tag first. and then close the list element. So just a quick explanation. A tag and hyperlink reference is basically if you want to add a hyperlink for the city. If the user clicks on this hyperlink, they would be basically direct to that website. If we wanted to add that link, we would copy the URL and add it in between the quotes. But for now, we're not going to do that, and I'm just going to add this hashtag for the placeholder. So that's all for that. Copy this and just paste it to make the process a lot easier. For next city, let's have Ottawa, and last city, Montreal. These are the biggest cities of Canada. So we're gonna close the list, and also we're gonna close the navigation section. And our next section would be the article. Article itself. So let's have a H1 and call this Toronto. So Toronto, let's have a description about Toronto. So Toronto is the capital city of province of Ontario. You have to have a full stop here. It is the most populous city in the province of Ontario. With a metropolitan area of over 6.2 million inhabitants. And close the paragraph. So also close the article itself, and also close the whole section. So it's one section with two different sections. One is header and one is the article itself. And last but not least, our footer. And the paragraph for the footer will just be footer. Keep it simple, stupid. Footer. Footer, close. And then we have our body, closing tag, and HTML itself. So we're gonna save this and keep our style inactive for now, because I just want to show you the difference. So why don't we run this on our browser and see how it looks. So as you can see, it's very plain and very ugly basically. It looks like one of those websites from 1970s. So we're gonna go back to our document and get rid of the comment and basically activate that style. I'm just gonna quickly go over the style. I don't want to spend too much time since this tutorial is for HTML, but this is the way we do style the different sections and paragraphs and headings. So we basically put the name of the header, and then in between the curly brackets we do our styling for, say, color, font size, blah blah. So you don't need to learn too much about this for now. So let's save this, go back, and as soon as I click the refresh button, you should see a lot of change. It should look a lot better. Bingo. And something went wrong. I gotta go back and check, see what happened here. We have our style. We have everything here. I wonder what happened. Everything should be fine. Unless something is wrong with the... nothing should be wrong. So we have H2, we have our paragraph properly, header. Oh, header. I forgot that closing. So that's one problem. You see how small things make a big difference. So that. Then we have our section. That section is fine. Now is fine. No, now also is missing. You see? Oh, also UL is missing. Wow. Well, what is happening today? Article is good. Section is good. Footer is good. So hopefully this will take care of the problem. Bingo. Looks almost perfect, but they shouldn't be this big because they're paragraphs and they shouldn't look that big. I wonder what is the problem. H2, paragraph. Oh, again, H2 is missing a closing tag. There you go. So many mistakes. So this is basically our debugging process. Bingo, perfect. So because we didn't close our H2, and all these paragraphs and sentences were basically mistaken for a H2, and therefore they were big. They look big. So now it looks a lot neat. So you can see the difference, and it kind of stands out. And if you remember, I was talking about the different size of your device, whether you're viewing the page on desktop or cell phone. If you're looking at, if you're using it or loading it on cell phone, the columns should basically, these columns should stack up on top of each other. And let's demonstrate that, see if it actually works or not. So let's see, make it smaller. There you go, you see? So the columns basically stack on top of each other. This would look like this is how it would look on cell phone, which is pretty handy. So that concludes our long tutorial. Hopefully you're here until now, and if you are, I appreciate your attention, and hopefully you learned something from this video, and hope to see you in tutorial number 12. Thanks, bye now.